Yeah.
Stand by everyone, we are recording. Okay. Perfect.
Hey, friends. Can everyone in the whole world hear me? The whole Zoom world and the whole in-the-person room world. Am I doing weird stuff? I must be electric today. Okay, happy Wednesday, happy middle of May, you guys. It's like, it's not February, it's actually almost June. We're fine, let's just keep going. Let's get our welcomes going for the week. We have Tinu, she actually goes by Sarah, so that's what I'll say. She is currently on vacation for her birthday, so she's not the person right now. We have Willie Claiborne, and we have Allison Carey, who's definitely on Zoom. I saw her report, and Allison came to us as a brand new agent, left and took a little vacation, went to other company for a minute, and has come back as a highly successful agent. So we're super excited to welcome her home. Sarah. All right, let's do the market movement that we've been bringing to the table lately. So Zoom world and person world, we're going to keep having this conversation every week as we have the micro market starting to emerge and see what's happening everywhere. So does anybody have something that's happened in their business this week that feels different than previous month or so? Yes, John?
Put a listing on the market last Thursday and I haven't had a show.
You put a listing on the market last Thursday and you have not had a showing.
Over 10 grand below the last comp.
10 grand under the last comp. And how long ago was that?
The last comp closed May.
Last comp closed May. It is May.
Yeah.
This May?
Closed beginning of, closed very beginning.
That's a good one. I told you I thought it was February. Okay, so last comp closed this month and you priced 10 grand under. You listed last Thursday, so almost a week ago, and you've had 0 showings.
Zero. It's an Otay ranch and there's a good amount of inventory around there and some big strong people to choose from, but still weird. And agents that have listings in there, there's like 3 or 4 other are files. It's hard. I put a listing on the market last Thursday, no showings. Agents that have listings in there, there's 3 other agents in the properties and all of them as well. One of them's in for 3 weeks. Okay.
Let's unpack that for a minute, y'all. Anybody else? Comments, questions, thoughts, feeling something similar, different? It's stats, I'm not gonna linger too long. Look, Ari's in the back of a floating microphone. This is fun. I asked you to get us one like a pro people, but she said that wasn't safe. All right, anybody in the Zoom world want to share any market moment that they've realized where they are? Okay, then we'll go on. Culturally, I want to hear from anyone about something that filled your bucket this week, or something about your life worth living, or business worth owning, anything from Y4C2Ts. Bucket fills are a little different going forward. We're really opening it up to say, what fits in your business and what do you want to share about that?
Well, Red Day was big.
Well, Red Day was big, Deb, wasn't it?
It was huge. I think it was really successful.
We did. Vinny ended up sharing we had $5,000 to $6,000 worth of food for Father Joe's. It was amazing. It felt really good to be back in person for the first time in 2 years, so that was fun. I could out Bridget with her story of her careers we're owning right now. Anybody else have something that they want to share, a bucket fill or a life worth living, careers worth owning moment? Leslie?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, on behalf of all of us at your sister office, I think we'll say, at Signature, y'all have all filled our bucket. So Sarah, the way you have jumped in and embraced our associates and made them feel as special as they are, And the way Nancy has absolutely and Drew have stepped in and just delivered, y'all will be so proud. And they come, Nick, who is our client services director, and just embraced all of us. And it's a pleasure to be in business with you. And we're excited.
Thank you. Together, we can definitely build great things. So we're excited. Nobody else wants to share.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I want to say like how great the food drive was. I mean, a couple of things, but yeah, the food drive was great because, I mean, it was like a chance to give back, and it felt really good to do that. And it really creates goodwill with me and my neighbors, and so they have really good associations with me. And it really felt good to know that my neighborhood cares, you know. And I just did 3 hours of prospecting, and I was able to get 10 really full bags of food to donate. And that felt really good. I mean, 2 bags were ours, but yeah, I mean, it's great. And also, it just feels really good to be around people again. I've been loving going to the center in person for the Ignite trainings. It's been great, and just learning so much on just a deeper level. So I want to thank any of the instructors that are here. Just thank you for being great, and thank the center for hosting this. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Andrea. I love that. Our Ignite instructors have been knocking it out of the park. I do see some in the room. So thank you, gentlemen and ladies who are doing that for us. And we do have market staff today, so I'm going to just keep going forward. Boker Bob, is he here?
It'll be Alicia.
Oh, Alicia, take away with coaching update, please.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I believe we have some slides. We do. Okay. Team Alicia, hashtag best team ever. Sarah opened another escrow. She is in growth with me. Moving on, we have Greg Erickson closed his own listing. That one has been in the works for a while. There was somebody who actually ended up passing away that we had to get a lot of things figured out on that one. He's in growth with me as well. And then we have Marlon opened, oh, that doesn't say his name though. Marlon opened an escrow and he is in launch with me. And this is a great one. Downtown Deborah Brown actually joined me in the growth program. That's fantastic. On Team Vinny, we have Marty closed an escrow and he is in launch with Vinny. And then on Team Melinda, Kareen has 2 new BRE signed. Congrats, guys.
Thanks, Alicia. Are you going to be giving us any broker updates while you're at it, or just leaving it there? LOL. Okay, thank you, love, for doing that for us. I'll stop looking backwards. I'll just look here and pretend I'm a newscaster. Chris Bateman and some coaching. I can't remember. All right, Movement Mortgage. Are we in the room or on Zoom? We're passing today. Ooh, hot potatoes for market staffs. Thank you. Red Day raffle winner announcement, Evie.
Yes. Let me stand by. Let me share this.
So everyone that brought their bags in for donations got entered into a raffle thanks to our strategic marketing partners. And we will find out who the winners were any moment. In the meantime, should I jump to Bridget?
Here we go.
Oh, no, you have video, okay.
I think I have a video, yes. Because Vinny, our boss man, is not here.
He's shopping for more green shirts for Red
Yes.
Day. So creepy. Right?
Sharing the screen.
Oh, we're doing it live?
He recorded it.
Oh. So everyone who brought a bag got entered in, and all the names are in there, and then he did the click to spin. Oh, he's talking. Who cares what he says? Just
Shout out to everyone. Thank you. I did without you. And FK, Green, both of you did about 30 bags. So really impressive. That's it.
I just might.
I can't hear anything. Can anybody else? I can't hear anything either.
Nope.
Oh.
Even throwing some small pop over here. Agree again.
I don't know what's going on because I can't hear. I just see my name, but
Screen, can you hear me?
barely.
won, Karine.
Yay! Thank you so much. That's so awesome.
No, we can hear everybody on the Zoom call, but we can't hear anybody in the office.
Or Vinny.
Sarah, just tell them I'll repost it.
Can you hear me talking? Joe Acosta said no one needs to hear. If you're not here, you can't hear. It's your problem. Just kidding, just kidding. All right.
So we had Vandora and Karine on the two.
Karine and Vandora are our two winners of the gift cards. I think that was super smooth. To everyone for participating. We're super excited about your gift cards. Please collect them from EV at your earliest convenience. Make that stop. Okay, Bridget Potterton has 3 properties to pitch, and hopefully they get at least one offer in the first 6 days. Bridgie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think Eve has some slides. So the first one I've got is coming on the market. It's a 3-unit in University. There we go. A 3-unit in University Heights. It's got, they're all 1 bedroom, 1 bath. One is a detached house in the front with a 1-car garage, and then the back 2 are attached above garages. So they all have garages. We're gonna be listing at 1.5. The next one is, and I don't have the address because I have the listing signed, but she just doesn't want people doing a drive-by because she's cleaning up the yard and stuff. I should have that soon. Then, oh, can you go back? The next one is a townhome in Park Place, which is in, if you're familiar with, if you're familiar, there we go. If you're familiar with Spectrum, it's in Esplanade. It's listed at 825. This is the first 4-bedroom condo that's come up for sale there in a very long time. So if you have somebody who needs a lot of bedrooms, this is a great option. Very central. HOAs are low. Third is going to be a listing in Scripps Ranch on Elderwood Drive. That one's going to be listed at $1,350,000. It is literally almost all completely original. The original owner, he bought it brand new, and he's done almost nothing to it other than replace like the AC and the heat. So if you've got a client that's looking at Scripps Ranch and can't find anything under 1.5, this is a great option. And then I've got a 4th one coming up on Renault in University City, listed at $1,399,000. We're taking photos today. This one is a killer location. This is, if you're familiar with University City, this is West University City. You cannot find a better location in University City. So this one will probably not go, it's not going to take too long for that one to go. And then next slide, I have one is still active on Emerald in El Cajon. This one's listed at $849,000. We were in escrow for quite a bit above that, and the buyer had some financing issues, surprise, surprise, with everything going on. So if you have an interested buyer, let me know. And I think that's it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Bridget Potterton, for sharing all your coming soon. And if you guys haven't seen it, there are definitely properties on the off market and coming soon page. So check out that link on Facebook. And as soon as I see Ashley resurface in the room, we will hand it over for market staff. Does anyone else have a coming soon they want to pitch in the meantime? For a listing? Oh, May 25th, 12 p.m. Unconscious Bias with Julian Lachey. Jacqueline's dropping the link in the chat, and if you are going to the Invasion of Distinction or want to get in there and, you know, be a good human, then go ahead and sign up for that free class and get started. And now, without further ado, the fabulous Ashley Lunn will lead us through the webinar market point.
Thank you. All right. How is everybody feeling? John, where was the property that you listed that you got nothing on?
What's that range?
Price point?
765.
765, one-time ranch, no showings in a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
No calls yet.
Not, are you sure it's in the MLS?
I haven't gone in and checked. Did you have this listing? Just Google this for me real quick. Sure.
Make sure it's there. All right, so 90 days from now is what?
August.
Middle of August.
Middle of August, August 18th. It's also National Bad Poetry Day. Yeah, I always celebrate a holiday 90 days out. Did not know that one existed. The reason I always put that date is why, 90 days from today. What do you do now? Yeah, so what activities you're doing now are going to give you your financial results 90 days from now. Always, always, always keep that in mind. Unfortunately, we're not an industry that we get immediate gratification. It takes a while. Got to keep doing it, especially now. All right, so let's jump in. And the button isn't working, Evie.
Okay. Easy to technology.
What I'll say before she gets that working is there's a tale of two markets for sure right now. And I highlighted that listing because in that area, that price point has slowed down. But that's really unusual. And it's two different markets. We've got the high-end market that has had a buildup of inventory. And then the lower end market, anything pretty much under 7 that is still ridiculously competitive. And that's area by area. Here's what the overall numbers tell us year to date. We are actually 10% behind in new listings brought to market versus last year. We're also 10% behind sold units compared to last year. They're following each other. What we'll see in the following slides is that we're not really building up inventory compared to the demand that's there, except for the higher price points. All right, so I do want you to keep an eye on this though. Typically, I only have a snapshot of time, meaning today I took the MLS numbers as of 8:30, but I also included the same information from March and April. And I want you to keep your eye on the first number on these slides. So active detached under 1 million, March 23rd, we had how many?
503.
Okay, April, we had how many?
505. Whoa.
Uh-huh. So that feels like, oh my God, we just added a huge percentage. Where those listings under 1 million are congregated though, are 9 to 1 million, 850 to 1 million. And in places like Otay, where there's more competition or less competition in those price points that are just under $1 million. If we look, and you'll see it in a few slides, if we look at each price point and what's available, this makes a lot of sense. Now let's go back. So pending 297 in April, 273 now. Slight adjustment, not statistically relevant really. Oh, I think this button doesn't go backwards. There we go. That's a different button. All right, over 1 million, what are we doing? 538 active March 23rd, 607 April 4th, 973. It's a big jump as far as raw numbers go, but it's still not enough to meet the supply demands that we have now. All right, now here's condos. March 23rd, under $500,000, we had 117 condos, 113 in April, and 135 now, pretty consistent. Going back, over 500,000, 252 condos in March, 291 in April, 429. Now, that's not that we are bringing a lot more condos to market, it's that some of those that were at 450 are now at 550, so they've just moved up the price point. Okay, so blue bar is 2020. The greatest year in real estate. Because we had the greatest comeback, none of us anticipated. The red bar is 2021 and the yellow bar is 2022. These are new listings brought to market through the end of April. What do you see? Just look at the shape of the lines. Okay, let's look at 2020 blue lines. How many properties were brought to market under 600,000? Now, remember, last month I had to change the. I apologize to everybody. Stay with it. So under 400,000 is the first chunk, then 400 to 600,000. So under 6, we had about 5,000 properties, a little over 5,000 properties brought to market. This year, how many? 2,300. Would we sell 5,000 properties under 600,000 if they were brought to market? Yes. Because they don't exist anymore, we still have our supply versus demand imbalance. And you can see that luckily we are picking up units on the higher end, 1 million to over 2 million, but we're not going to close as many units this year than we did in 2020 or 2021 because we don't have them available. We won't have them available. Okay, here's the sold numbers. They follow the listed numbers. Basically, if you list it, it sells and still fairly quickly. John, I want to just, what year did you get in the business?
2013.
Do you remember how much inventory we had then?
A lot more than this. And
We have thought it was crazy market since 2012.
yeah, ever since I got in it, it's been a seller's market. So I don't know what it's like.
Right. Well, back then we had about 12,000 available listings. Yeah.
And we were still short.
We were still short. And we have what now? 2,200? So while in the micro numbers, we may go, oh my God, we had 500, now we have 900. That's a massive raw number jump. It's still nowhere near enough to meet the demand we have. Okay, listed 2021 versus 2022, broken down by price point. Just in 1 year, look how many fewer properties we have under $600,000. And it's because those are now 700,000 or 800. Listed and sold. So far, we have closed almost 1,200 units fewer than we did last year. So the market has contracted in terms of number of units. You guys as agents probably won't feel that so much because volume is up. So your paychecks are bigger and you may not be aware that you're closing fewer units because you're making more money. That's a little scary then. I'm going to encourage you to focus on the number of units more than the volume right now, because if you close 10 units a year and you lose 5 of them, cancellations will go up. That hurts a lot more than closing 30 units a year and losing 5. So here's where we can see where the buildup of inventory actually is. This is why there's 2 different markets. All right. There are some of us that operate in what I call the bread and butter markets, which have always been under 600,000 in San Diego. And I've said for years, I'm glad we have an office that focuses there because that never gets hit. That was pre-pandemic thinking. The shift we're experiencing now is going to hit the lower end of the market harder than the higher end of the market. And it's because of the people who are barely squeaking in, who have not much more income than the median household income, are screwed essentially. And so we're gonna feel it in the lower end much more than the high end. So this is our old price points. For those of you who've been with us a while, I always did under 200,000, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. That makes no sense anymore because there's so few units in those price points that I've combined them. But I wanted you to see this way. If you've got a buyer for a house under $500,000 in San Diego County, by the way, this is all San Diego County, so, you know, bordering Yuma, basically. You've got less than 30 properties to go look at. How many of you have a buyer for a house under 500,000? You're referring somewhere else?
Yeah.
Now, on the high end, 950 to $1.5 million, we got 485 properties. How many of you have a buyer in that right now? So we have an office of 300 agents. I bet we have buyers. We could take all right now. Let's do that. Okay, here's condos. It's even worse. Now, what's going to be interesting, we've seen this trend, it's going to get more extreme as the year goes on. Condos are gaining value faster than single family because people can, the ones that can only afford to go to condos are great in number. So they're competing with each other and pushing those values up. Okay? Now, I would use these two slides for everybody who has not been in one of these staff meetings before. I designed this so you can use them in your marketing. There's no logos on it. You don't have to credit me for this. Take it, make it yours. And these two are fabulous to use with both buyers and sellers. Okay, so absorption rates. What the absorption rate is, and when you get this slideshow, there's a definition of it. But essentially, what we look at is what was listed in April versus what's sold in April. And that gives you a percentage. It's called the absorption rate. And this slide was all year long through April 30th. What was listed versus what was sold. What's important about the absorption rate, and I can really listen to this and take it in, any absorption rate over 15% is a seller's market. 15% is where it goes. If it's below 15%, it's a buyer's market. If it's above 15%, it's a seller's market. We don't have an absorption rate in any price point under 67%. Yeah, Jacqueline's laughing. It's absurd. And this is the first quarter of the year, essentially, which is not usually the most aggressive quarter of the year. So these absorption rates are going to get even higher throughout the year, which means there'll still be compaction of available inventory. Even, by the way, above $2 million, 67% absorption above $2 million is insane.
But I bet that's why it started to feel different because those absorption rates were all like near 90%.
Oh, they'll get back there. They drop down. You'll see the trend line in a minute. They drop down. We had a very, very, very slow November, December, January. So we bottomed out, and now we've really rebounded quickly as far as that goes. There you go. Look at the trajectory of those lines. So every number that's posted on here represents an April over the last 4 years. So this April, we had 2,400, I'm sorry, it is just the month of April, 2,497 new single family homes listed in April of 2022. What was it last year? 2,807. That's significant. That's 20% difference. 20% fewer in just that 1 month. And what's the trajectory line doing? It's dropping, which is really, really, really unusual for an April. That doesn't usually happen. Usually goes up again for May. You just look at the shape of the lines. Now, if we go back to 2020, 2019, we are way behind the previous years for new listings coming. There's no, I don't know the exact reason why, but it makes sense to me that if I own a house and I'm locked in at a 2.75% interest rate, and I was even curious about upgrading my house, I can't now because I'm not going to go get a 5.5% interest rate on something that's, maybe comparable. So I think we will see fewer listings come. You only have time to deal with sellers who are highly motivated and have to make a move. Nobody testing the market. That same story for condos. Now, ooh, gotta get used to the new one. That's new listings coming to market, which is forecasting what we're gonna see in May, June, and July. Right? Now, pendings tell us what's going on. Well, here's your active inventory. Much, much, much higher than it was at the beginning of the year because we had bought it out so much. Here's your pendings though. They dropped off. When I first looked at this, I went, oh my God, this is why the market's slowing. Like demand has gone down. That's not what's happened. We have fewer properties to sell. Fewer new listings came to market as available inventory to sell. That's why we have the dip in pendings. It's supply and demand. It's not people lessening the demand for what is coming. It's supply that is now been choked off even more because sellers don't know what to do. And the solds rebounded from that really, really tough first quarter. All right, median sales price. Next two slides, great social media fodder. Median sales price for a house in San Diego County is now $1 million. Whole number. Median, meaning half of the houses that sell in San Diego are over $1 million and half are under. And that is up $360,000 over 4 years. What is 360,000 divided by 4? 90. So just owning a house in San Diego in the last year has basically been a $90,000 salary for you.
Yeah, there's house price progression under that. Yeah.
So arguing with buyers, yes, buy. You may not make 90,000 this year, but what if you make 40? Same thing for condos. And again, that condo number is going to get bigger and bigger because there's more competition there. So it's going to push those prices up even faster. Average. Now, last year I said I don't think we'll ever go below a $1 million average in San Diego again, which is a little sad because that's not a whole lot of house here. The average is now 1.35. In April of 2022, that number is only going to go up. And again, that's a $530,000 4-year gain. It's absurd. And most people would say it's not sustainable. And I would agree if logic played any point here, but that isn't what's happening. It's illogical because demand is so high.
Actually,
Yes,
we've got a question from Russ.
of course.
He said, what's the difference between new listings and active listings?
New listings mean the listing contract was penned in that month. So if it was written between April 1st and April 30th, that's a new listing that month. Active means at the end of the month, here's what was on the market that was still left, basically. Active. All right. Humongous gains. Market time. Yeah, that Sarah said, look at that great crazy graph. So this only goes back to 2018. And on December-ish of 2018, we had 33 days on market.
Curious.
Which, by the way, is still actually really, really fast. Doesn't feel like it when it's been 8, 7, 6, 9, 10. But this means how long a property is on the MLS before the status is changed from active to pending. So by the way, do you think agents are really awesome about changing that date on the day it goes into escrow? So there's probably a little room in that 8 or 9 days. It's probably more like 5. Still. In most areas, just not when John Fields lists.
No problem.
So again, tale of 2 markets, overall MLS, we have 1 month of supply, 4 weeks of supply of houses. Major. Woo! Such a buildup. And 0.7 months for condos. Again, for all of those of you that are relatively new to this, that means if something happened and we could not list property today for the rest of the month, we'd be out of houses and condos to sell by this time next month. That's still incredibly crazy fast. And this is why the average list price to sales price is up. This is again, one of those illogical things. Average original list price to sales price is 107% for condos and almost 107% for houses. I know our jobs are hard. Imagine being an appraiser.
No.
What do you do? What do you do?
No, last sale I had, the appraiser looked at me and said, help me, help you.
So appraisers are begging.
Right.
An appraiser is logical, they're systematic, they're structured. There's none of that in this market. This is emotionally driven. And yet, because it's emotionally driven and the demand is where it's at, it is going to be sustainable for at least this year. Joe?
Are interest rates having any impact? Yeah.
I would say absolutely they are, but if you remember, and you remember because you listened to me, we could lose 80 or 90% of our buyers and still have a demand issue, supply and demand issue. Because we were getting how many offers? You have 40 offers on a property, you can lose 39 buyers and still sell
Except for that.
We're just gonna hug him. Again, now your micro markets, we're talking the overall landscape, right? The micro markets are going to see different shifts and you've got to be in that market. This is a time where I would say, if you are not familiar with the neighborhood, partner with somebody who is. In San Diego, I don't usually say that, and especially coming out of listed, sell it, no skill needed. Now we need skill because we don't know how to price in these micro markets. Price per square foot is up, and I think we'll see this trend continue. The yellow line is houses. And for a long time, condos were more per square foot than houses, but people want houses coming out of a pandemic. So you're seeing that price per square foot go up.
That was just around $550 a minute ago.
We gained $590,000. Yeah, $590,000 gain in the average in 4 years.
But at the time when we talked about it.
Why work? Just buy a house and sit on it.
The comment actually was, if you're coming out of LA and San Francisco, and it's an average of $1,000 per square foot, that's why there's still so much demand here, because people can work anywhere from anywhere. So that continues to drive.
Well, and then you'll see the other side of the media going, there's this exodus. San Diego County shrunk for the first time in ever. Yeah, by like 1,000 people. When I saw that news story a couple weeks ago, I'm like, God, did we lose another 100,000? Please, it would help traffic, it would help prices on property. It's not an exodus. All right, monthly indicators. So these two slides, you guys probably know, I pulled directly from SDAR. It's the fast stats option that you have. And I rarely highlight much on these, but this one is so poorly informed. I think we need to actually read the whole thing. And then I want comments. So here's what it says. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage exceeded 5% in April, the highest level since 2011. That's a fact. The recent surge in mortgage rates has reduced the pool of eligible buyers and has caused mortgage applications to decline, with a significant impact on refi applications. Fact. Which are down more than 70% compared to this time last year. By the way, hug your lenders, because that's a major impact on their income. As the rising cost of homeownership force many Americans to adjust their budgets, an increasing number of buyers are hoping to help offset the cost by moving from bigger, more expensive cities to smaller areas that offer a more affordable cost of living. True, also fact, and those places that in the last 5 years have been those hotbeds are now unaffordable too. So yes, we've been seeing some of that fleeing, but now those prices are out of reach for a lot of people. Here's where I believe a problem exists. Closed sales decreased 17.9% for detached homes and 27.1% for attached homes. Because of the way they put that with this paragraph on top, I believe they were trying to say to us as the real estate professionals, demand has decreased so much, our home sales are down. And that's not the message you should be getting from this, and it's not the message that's going to help you with buyers or sellers. The reason this sales have decreased is because the inventory that was coming to market has decreased, not because demand went down. Okay. Affordability challenges are limiting buying activity. Yes, but I wouldn't put much focus there. Again, we can still lose in most areas a large percentage of our buyers and not feel it.
think that's still the case. Rates kept in the sixes, and is there a point?
So it's interesting, I was on a Zoom call with Gary and because of the LAT, the top 100 that Gary has. And he said, for all of us to think about it, how many of you right now, and I cannot see Zoom, but you guys can participate too. Honestly, right now, how many of you are changing your buying habits because of interest rates right now? Okay, that's interesting. That was 5, and there might be 20 people in here. So right now, 1/4 of the people in the room have changed their buying habits because of 5.5%. Gary said until that gets to 75% of the room raising their hands, they're going to continue to raise rates because the only way to stop inflation is to stop people from purchasing. So the question is, for most of us, how high would that interest rate have to get for us to change our behavior? And he also said the last one, he said, if you think the feds are going to stop at 5.5 or 15.5, you're crazy. They're going to stop when inflation stops. And I'm not old enough, I wasn't in the business back when he got in the business, but he said they went from like 8% to 18% in less than 18 months back in the 70s. And we could see that again. Hopefully we don't have to, obviously, but I mean, I may buy
18% crash in the market.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna go from that to that, they're stepping, and they are stepping. And it just, plus we have other geopolitical crap going on right now.
Well,
So-
the disparity between rents and mortgages right now is too close for people to stop buying.
But here's the challenge, and we can all feel this right now, and the repercussions of this really suck. I love being in real estate, the opportunity is big for all of us, right? We know that. But when we see prices do what they've done, and middle income earners are priced out of the housing market, they're gonna be forced further and further and further down the ladder of wealth. If you can squeak into a property right now, you are going to gain wealth in the short and long term. If you can't, you are literally just being financially depleted. That's the scary, that's why they have to stop the inflation, because when inflation is like it is, the poor get poorer and the rich get richer and the divide gets greater. That's why it's such a threat to democracy. And it's not cool to see the impacts. All right, and then housing supply overview. I have not read the details of it, but I know the Biden administration just came out with some big housing push that they're gonna fund massive building over the next several years because they realize the only way to fix our housing crisis is to provide more supply. I don't know the details of it, but I'm kind of glad somebody woke up and went, oh yeah, we need to build again.
But housing policy keep going.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't have to.
Well, if they throw money at it, yeah.
I'm not criticizing that, but the thing is, it's here in San Diego County. Also, how much do you go? That's not.
Well, I'm just glad the conversation is starting at least on that political level, because I know in San Diego County, there's been, not in my backyard, like crazy, and we need to increase density. There's just no way around it. All right, market-wide inventory levels were down 23.3%. So how does that happen if sales are down so far? Because we're selling everything that's available. It's not that the lack of demand is forcing an uptick in supply, it's the lack of supply is making us close fewer units. All right, and then this I'm just gonna leave on here to remind everybody, the average agent in San Diego isn't surviving. 28,000 people operating in real estate, and only 6,000 of them are closing any amount of transactions. That number is going to decrease because we are going into a skill-based market. You need to know your stuff. All right, questions? Yes.
My name is
Stephanie.
Stephanie. I'm from San Diego Signature. We used to see if somebody is asking with the rise of interest rates, if more starts coming to market, is that going to decrease? And if you've got a buyer who's worried about their value being decreased and the bubble bursting, Do you see that there's a bubble and that prices are gonna come down at all?
I don't see a bubble bursting. I think our gains will be slower. But again, and that's a great question, Stephanie, we have so much demand on the buy side that that's really what's causing those not just the rates, I'm sorry, not just the averages, but the number of offers that are going over 107%. It was 104 at the end of the year. So it's going up quicker than it was 4 months ago, even though the overall number of transactions. So, yeah, hang on just a second. I'm butchering this explanation, so in order for prices to come down, first of all, we have to get down back to, we only sell things for what we're listed at, which is a good year out probably. And we would have to see, like John's listing, no demand for it. That will sell by the way.
Thank you.
It will sell.
Yeah.
It just
It's been
feels,
6 days.
oh my gosh.
It's very, it's a lifetime.
So one more point, just because you're new to business too, right?
Yeah.
So a balanced market is 6 months of inventory. We have 1 month of inventory. A seller's market is defined at 15% absorption. We're at least 67, and in some price points, almost 90%. So we could eventually possibly get to a point where values are coming down in San Diego. In all honesty, I don't think we'll see that in my lifetime. I truly don't. And I wouldn't tell you guys that if I did. But we're just not going to see demand dry up that much. And we cannot build enough new units in San Diego.
What's the deficit for new construction?
Nationwide, it's over 10 million houses.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, how long does it take to entitle and build and get to market property? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Just took me 3 years to complete an ADU on my property. That's what needs to change, but it's very hard to change it quickly. Okay, sorry. Edie.
Michael Barrow requested to go back to that agent slide.
So to be fair, these were the numbers I pulled in January. I'm not going to update them again until January. But this is what 2021 looked like in San Diego with your competitors. Does he have questions on it, or you just wanted to see it? All right, Leslie.
So I have a comment and a question. So a comment would be, especially in the market, it being a luxury market, and most people think of $1 million is luxury. Okay. In turn. With the interest rates going up, quite frankly, there are more multi-million-dollar sales that are cash. So we're not seeing the hard pressure from interest rates rising in your upper tier markets. We're seeing more pressure on your lower tier markets.
Which is why this is the first shift I've experienced where the lower tier is going to get hurt more than the luxury tier.
Yes, and it's fascinating. And by the way, it's nationwide. So we're continuing, I say nationwide in every major market in the country.
So what you'll see here, just this is kind of fun. This is the nerdy part. Joey will like this. We're going to see houses that are at 7, 8, 9 go up really fast in value, but the stuff that's under 5 isn't. Right, because there's fewer people who can buy those, so there's less demand, so they won't go up as fast. And it's going to be that middle and luxury tier. On one slide, I'm going to go back. I was shocked very early on in the slideshow. There's a slide I have that shows over $5 million. We have 126 properties over $5 million. I went back historically. The only year we've hit over 100 was last year. We never have that many houses. And again, it's because those $3 million houses are now 5. Yeah. And the same thing for 2.5 to 5 million. You don't get much for $2.5 million.
Y'all are leading, California is leading the top 10 luxury markets in the country right now in most sales over And then-
Well, and I appreciate what you said. And I don't want to speak for everybody else. I have to think about luxury as only being a number. It's not the quality. That makes sense. I bought my house in 2018, September 2018. I'm in Hamul. If anybody knows where that is, it's out east. It's rural. Was a 2,500 square foot single level house. I bought it for $730,000. I could likely sell it for $1.5 million.
Well, now it's like 80.
You're packing.
Where would I go? That doesn't matter to 80. That doesn't include ADU. And it is certain, it's rural. It is not a luxury property, but it's a luxury price.
So, ma'am, one other thing, so on that slide where you're showing these differences in prices, and I think your name is Chris.
No, Joe.
Joe, I think you.
Or John.
John, you might go say a price increase. And, you start looking at those price brackets of where the most activity is, so always price down. And we're seeing a lot of that happening right now in the Dallas Fort Worth market, where we look at pricing markets. And we're seeing more of the message at the moment, in the under 700, in our market, being more about a conversation around payment versus price.
Who knows? Real estate's an art and a science. Right now, it's a heck of a lot more art than science. So
Who knows?
who knows? And the last thing I'll say, because John just bought, by the way, his own house. And I should have asked permission, sorry, I'll ask for forgiveness later. About 3 weeks ago, I think, you called me, and you were a pretty calm dude. Unlike your father, who was kind of neurotic. But, you were a little panicked.
What did I just do?
You literally had some panic in your voice,
Yeah.
because his question was,
It's gone up significantly.
there's like, should I buy this house?
Yeah.
Now, the house is in North Park, Verlana Village, okay. And the day you called, I said, what's your interest rate? And you were locked in at?
3.875.
Just think about that, like, I'm flipping house, why are you even thinking about this? Because if you had to go back and requalify for that same house that day, it was 2 points higher. Now, I highlight that to just say, we're real estate professionals, we do this every day. And it's good sometimes to experience what buyers are going through.
Really?
And congratulations, are you glad now you bought it?
Very, yeah.
Awesome. You'll make a couple $100,000 next year.
Great.
The millionaire.
All right, any other questions or comments? Zoom is quiet? I'd like to see all of you on Zoom in here. It's good to see everybody.
It's days on market, one of it.
9 and 8 for the average days on market.
So that's.
So yes, to answer your question, yes, they've gone up a lot because they were 6 and 7. So from a percentage standpoint, they've gone up a lot. Are you just needling him?
No, I got a listing put on 3 days ago. And no one wants to do that. I had 2 showings.
You're like,
It's gonna be over.
better than
So that's a really, I don't know if Zoom's in here. So you just had a listing come on.
Yeah.
How many days ago?
3 days ago.
And you have,
Showing, but I do have an offer.
okay, so he is a little nervous because he put a listing on 3 days ago. He's only had 2 showings and he only has 1 offer.
But the offer is from someone who hasn't seen it.
But the offer is signed and seen. So, thank you. And this is where our psychology, we need to really talk to each other because we need to be reminded that's crazy flipping fast.
But they haven't seen it, so it's kind of a wishy-washy one.
Even 2 showings in 3 days is ridiculously fast. Remember in 2018, we had 33 days on market as an average.
What's it right for? 789, 2
Where is it?
12 acres. It's just south of, town. Yes.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. This is a rule of thumb because they're all operating in a very different Hear it right now. As your operating partner, I don't give you permission to panic until you're on the market 2 weeks. And then you shouldn't panic, you should just call somebody and look at what you might have to adjust.
Do you remember the conversation just short time ago? If your property is on the market 2 weeks, you maybe consider lowering the price a little bit.
Well, for
Right,
sure.
didn't it put out, right?
This slide is what should inform us. If we are over the median market time and we haven't got an offer accepted yet, we do have to look at our pricing, something we missed.
But as
That's all- But that's also by price point, so this is an average.
The shift tactic of pricing ahead of the market. We're no longer pricing for the market we think we're in, we're pricing ahead of the market we think we're going into. So if you're considering the fact that I wonder what's gonna happen, drop it 20 grand to start. Sorry, I don't, it's over, but.
And as important, oh, sorry. I was gonna say, Ashley, as important to shift the lens and take advantage of this time for your buyers. I mean, I'm putting not low ball, 15,000 under the bottom of the range, which is low ball these days, but there's a possibility these are sticking now. So take advantage.
Well, and thank you for saying that, Susan, and that is an advantage you all have in here. I don't think Melinda's on, but she's told this story a couple times in the last couple weeks. There are agents out there who are not doing a whole lot of business. So their mindset is still a month ago. And she got an offer on a listing, one offer, not multiples, and the agent offered $40,000 over asking. Wasn't competing with anybody, and also gave, I think, 2 months rent back for free, because that agent hasn't been in the market today and was operating like it was a month ago. So that's a huge advantage for you guys.
So that brings
All
up
right,
a question for me. Ashley, it's Russ.
Hey, Ross,
So-
thank you.
Yes, in scripts, we're talking about the shift in the market for situations that are happening just like that, where most of the agents are thinking it needs to go way over, and then someone is able to get it for a little bit over. So that seems to me like a market slowed down and a demand decrease, since they're not getting multiple offers that are going crazy over. But that seems a little bit different than the message that this data would say, that the demand is still there and we could lose 80% of the buyers. So can you help me reconcile the increase of those stories with this data, which seems to be the same as it's been trending for the last few years?
I will, trying to come up with an analogy off the cuff. So you're a pilot, you fly planes. Is there a difference from slowing down from 300 miles an hour to 250 and stalling out?
Yes, there's a big difference.
It's a deceleration versus a stopping.
Okay.
We're just decelerating. We're still freaking fast.
Also, that price point's really important. That 750, they're probably a finance buyer, things have happened. The price point being so important in the micro market that we talk about, and what Leslie was speaking to, when you're doing a cash purchase, which not many people at 700,000 can't be buying cash. This market, that population is probably financed, which means people are pausing and looking and going, what are the interest rates doing? Is this the time where we want to wait a minute and see, et cetera, et cetera.
That's the factors in there, but think deceleration. And then also think, it kind of goes back to what Stephanie was asking. If we have seen 27% increases the last 2 years, which we have, if we only see 20% this year, that's a slowdown, but it's still a flippin' big increase. To go from 27% appreciation last year to losing value, it's not on the horizon. We'll just decelerate the amount of gain we have. Does that make sense?
That's a great analogy. I appreciate that. Thank you.
The other part of that is tell the story, you guys, because your clients are reading the headlines, looking at the media and watching the news, and the news is not here to inform your clients to make good decisions. The news is here to sell advertising dollars. So
which they do through fear.
Which they do through fear. So be the person for your people. Don't share headlines. Share what does this mean for you. Share the tips and tricks of like, here's what is going on in the world, and here's how it relates to you specifically, because everyone's circumstance dictates what those things mean to them.
And if you are choosing between buying and renting in San Diego, freaking buy a property. All right, it's 2:30.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Michael Barrow said, just got an offer accepted 75K under Mission Hills, 7 days on market.
Really, really good job, Michael, and that agent might have made a bad decision only because it's only 7 days of work.
He said he was shocked.
Yeah. Okay, good job.
So go make offers to your buyers.
Yeah. All right, everybody have a fantastic week.
Thank you.
Thank you.